Hi everyone, welcome to 7 Elite Academy online masterclass sessions. Today we are joined by a very special guest, an ex-club colleague of mine, back from Liverpool Football Club. He's now took his career and journey of this coaching industry over to the States. He's been out there for many years, doing a great job, and is currently the technical director at the Seattle Sounders Academy. And that guest is Gary Lewis. Gary, great to see you. It's been a long time, and I hope everything's all right there.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, no, good to see you, and thanks for the opportunity to do this. Hopefully we can share a few stories. That'll be good. And as you say, we go back a long way.
Yeah, it has. I think it's kind of nearly 10 years now, Gary, maybe possibly more. But yeah, it's like I said, it's great to have someone like yourself, especially on these online masterclass sessions we've been having. Many different guests from different angles of the game. So definitely, obviously to all our listeners and watchers, there'll be a lot of benefits to kind of hearing kind of your story and in this masterclass session with yourself, from your experience of what you've achieved in England, but also now over in the US, especially with your new gig as the Academy Technical Director at Seattle Sounders. So, but before we go on through some of the stuff back in England, just tell us a little bit and give the listeners a little bit of an overview and some of your milestones throughout your journey, Gary.
Okay, I'll try and be as brief as possible. It could be a long time, this, especially the age I've got to now. It actually started on a beach in Jamaica, having a few drinks with a lad from Birmingham, and I was working in the credit industry at the time. And he said to me, "What's your dream?" I said, "I want to be a football coach." He said, "Do it." He said, "You get one shot at this life, do it." So I told my wife I'm going to be a football coach, and off I went. Yeah, I initially wrote to Liverpool. I didn't have a coaching qualification, and Stuart Gelling brought me in. Couldn't believe it. Yeah, Stuart brought me in and just said, "Look," he said, "we haven't got any opportunities here." He said, "But I really like the way you wrote the letter, and I'll keep an eye on you." So I went away, did some coaching badges, and started Vauxhall Motors, so non-league. Didn't get paid for that. Cost me a fortune to work there. And did the UEFA B license. Wrote to Stuart again. He brought me in. He said, "Still nothing for you, sorry." And we just chatted for an hour in the lecture theatre. Yeah. And then we got into families and stuff. And he said, "You know what? I'm going to give you a go." He said, "We've got a development centre opening up in Manchester, would you believe?" And he said, "Work with the 6 and 7 year olds. Would you fancy doing that?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And then he gave me some old kit. I'll never forget it. Some old Reebok Liverpool kit. I stood in the toilet in the mirror with my new kit on, feeling as proud as anything that I now represent Liverpool. And then that's where it took off. Yeah, and just to kind of be brief about it, I did the UEFA A license. I was still working with the 6 and 7s. Went into Phil Roscoe. I said, "Look, Phil, I've got my UEFA A license now. How do I get an academy team?" He said, "Leave." So I did. I left. Yeah, I went to Derby County with the under-14s. Had a few years there. Everton then offered me an opportunity after we played them. So again, went there for a few years, worked with some really talented people, talented coaches and players. And then I was in a college one morning, and I got a phone call from Liverpool just saying, "Look, we know you're a Red. We know you've done well, in your previous clubs. Would you consider coming back?" I said, "Yeah, I will crawl down the M57 on my hands and knees for this opportunity." So I took it. I went back and took the under-13s, which was Jordan Roster, Harry Wilson, Ryan Kent, Tom Brewitt, Andy Fair. They've all gone on to do really well, these boys. And it was just a brilliant year. Me and Dave Rowe taking that team. Yeah, really good year for us. Yeah, do you want me to? Yeah, go on.
That's interesting, because you've kind of rolled it all back. It was pretty much the same ordeal for myself. Stewie Gelling, Carl Robbo invited me in. And when you got that kind of bin bag of kit, it was like Christmas Day, wasn't it, Gary? It was like, you couldn't be any prouder, and just to kind of get home, open the bag, see all the kits kind of spill out of it, and you just wanted to put it on, didn't you? And kind of get out there. And what a moment that was. Like I said, I'll never forget them days, and it's brilliant to kind of hear you kind of go through the same situation. Some of what you've just said there, Gary, which I really applaud yourself and other coaches that do that, is where you're in a situation where you want to kind of stay at the club, you want like a position at that club, but for whatever reasons, it's just not there at that particular time. And like with Phil Roscoe saying to you, we'll leave. I do question how many would actually leave and just maybe stay and just kind of be in a comfort zone. And 4, 5, potentially 10 years down the line, many staff could be in the same position where they could have gone and tested and challenged themselves and gone elsewhere and kind of earn more stripes along the way. So to hear you obviously kind of do that, doing that kind of gig at Derby County, I'm sure kind of put you in good stead and gave you the experience needed then to come back to Liverpool and making you a kind of a better person, a better coach because of it.
Yeah, but you're so inexperienced, that's the thing. It was 90 miles to Derby, and I was doing that 4 days a week. And again, even though I worked at Vauxhall Motors for no money, my salary at Derby was just the mileage. That was pretty much it. I didn't earn any money again. So I was working of a day and having to drive to Derby of a night, a couple of hours down the M6, which was tough. But it was a good education because Kevin Thelwell was the academy director, and he just took me for my UEFA A licence. And then he left the FA and went to Derby as academy director, and he offered me the under-14. So it was really coach education based. So he'd watch the sessions from a coach educator point of view, which was brilliant for me. Yeah. And then he'd come and watch the games, and he'd look at how the team was set up and different solutions, and he'd just write a report on how you conducted yourself. Mm. So just from a coach education point of view, it was first class, and he'd always come back. And I remember we played. So I'm now an academy coach, and again, I'm delighted. I've made it. Under-14 coach at Derby County. In my mind, I've made it. And we played Crewe Alexandra first game. Dario Gradi was the manager. He used to take the first team and the under-14s, and they beat us 6-0. And we literally just got picked off. And I went home that night and I thought, I'm out of my depth here. And I must have wrote about 10 pages of what happened in the game. I thought that will never happen again to me. It's just these learning, the learning opportunities you get, against a really established. He probably coached about 1,000 games by then, Dario Gradi. We couldn't get near them. Well,
again, it's the experiences, that you pick up along the way, Gary, that kind of put you in good stead for the future, I imagine. But while we've kind of touched upon your days at Liverpool in particular, and you just mentioned it about that kind of first team that you took when you came back, which was a very good age group, by the way. Rossiter, Harry Wilson, Tom Brewer, Ryan Kent, and obviously Fairfield as well. And to kind of see them where they are now, and obviously with the other age groups that you took along the way, they'll probably be coming to ages, and obviously that age group in particular is at an age now where they're playing professional, them players that we've just talked upon. But there's other ages that you've took that are recently kind of getting pro deals, had 1 or 2 appearances for Liverpool. As a youth developer, Gary, and as a big Liverpool supporter as well, how satisfying is that to kind of, for you, to where you are and some of the input that you've had in their kind of lives to see those type of players kind of get the rewards so far?
Yeah, you don't really see it when you first start because the journey's so long. I'd just like to go back to just the introduction I had when I came back into Liverpool. And Pep Segura and Rodolfo Burrell had just come in. And as you know, Rodolfo's right-hand man to Guardiola now. And Pep's sporting director now at FC Barcelona. So, two highly qualified people. And I'd always put sessions on in the past where I needed the session to look good. I didn't really understand why I was doing it, but it needed to hit certain things, from a technical point of view, but it just didn't relate to anything but look great. And then Pep actually spanned the whole thing around for all of us. He just said, no, we start with the end in mind, and that'll come up again later in this conversation. What does the game look like? And then work our way back. So we weren't allowed to waste a session. Every technical session had to relate to the game. Yeah. So even if you're doing like a diamond passing session, you have to incorporate the centre back, the right back, the wide player coming in off the line. Everything was based around patterns. So we'd literally be on the front foot with our coaching. So that when we actually played on a Saturday or a Sunday, everything would come off, and it was such a privilege to watch these movements coming off, and the opponents just chasing shadows. They couldn't really follow what we were doing because it was so new in them days. everything was triggered. And when you come to America, the difference that I feel when I first came here was if the players weren't involved in the game, they were just disengaged. So if the ball was going down the right side, the left winger is disengaged because he's thinking, this isn't anything to do with me. Whereas with Pep, everyone was involved. So if everybody bounced each other into different places.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really privileged to walk into that dressing room with them players, and then working these patterns, working this way with this group, just provided them with an education as well. So then all you're thinking about then is actually just producing sessions and winning games on a Sunday, because you still want to win. Even though, I hate this thing about, winning's not important. It is. It's really important, and the boys want to win. And there was no league tables, but every time them boys, they were so competitive. And then the feeling you get of winning a game is great as a coach, but nothing like, watching the boys walk out at Anfield or CenturyLink Field here now. The feeling, the tears in your eyes, the goosebumps you get when you see a player you worked with walk out onto a first team stage. You couldn't buy that. It's a fantastic feeling as a coach. And let me just it's really important for me to say that it's not just the coaches that are involved in this, it's everyone. It's people who drive them in, the cleaners, the laundry, the rest, the guy like Martin in the cafe doing all the meals for the boys. All these people are integral to these kids getting through.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's all there. It's like we always talk about, don't we? The 1% and the people that kind of help them 1% for our players to kind of push themselves and hit the limits that the club requires, whatever club it is, and so on. But yeah, you're massively spot on, Gary. And you just mentioned something before about, and again, we're talking about influencers here, and you've just mentioned two, very, very well respected, obviously coaches within the youth game in particular, and now obviously at the professional level, with Rodolfo, Burrell and Pep Segura. Were they two massive influences on your coaching journey, Gary? And was there anyone else out there that kind of shaped you in kind of being the coach you are today?
Yeah, so Pep taught us why, which I didn't understand. He taught us the why of coaching. You do this because, and then he'd come into your sessions, he'd appear all the time, even when you were on field 4 in the dark, right down the bottom of the academy. All of a sudden he'd appear from nowhere. He'd say, Gary, no, this doesn't fit. This doesn't fit with our methodology and our game model. Or other times he'd say, no, this is very rich in detail. Yeah. The other thing he did in the Premier League academy system, they used to keep 2 Sundays open for staff training days, two blank weekends, where everyone would go in and you get trained by your technical director. Pep said, no, we're going to take that Sunday off so you can spend the time with your family. But every Tuesday we'll do a staff development night, and he stuck to that. So that's what he taught us, and it was just fascinating to see how he worked. Rodolfo was different. Rodolfo was more on the field, whereas Pep was more like a strategist. Rodo was a top coach in terms of detail, and the simplicity in his detail was a genius for me. Right. Every single thing he spoke about was just like, it was so obvious, but you never ever thought about it. Yeah, I remember going in. We used to go in on a Wednesday. Me and Torps used to go to Melwood on a Wednesday morning, and Brendan was brilliant with us. Brendan Rodgers. He'd welcome us and let us watch first team training. And I stood with Rodo one morning, and we were watching. He was working on the midfield. It was Lucas Leiva and Stephen Jarwin in the middle, and just the relationships in terms of defending. So Rodo says to me, "Would you do this any differently?" I said, "Yeah, I'd probably add the 10 in." I said, just because the relationship should include the third midfielder. He said, deliver it tonight. He said, you deliver it tonight at the academy. He said, and I'll come and watch. So we goes out, I'll never forget, it was pouring with rain. Frank McParlin came out to watch. So pressure was on. I got Rodo and Frank watching the session. Within 5 minutes, Rodo said, no. And he walked in, took over. Right. And I tell you, it blew us away. He was unbelievable, the level of detail. And then we were walking back down that long path back to the building. And Frank McParlin put his arm around me. He said, he's the best you'll ever see him, mate. Yeah.
I think as well with the detail, we talk about kind of simplicity is key, but I think as well the timing of when you give that kind of, whatever it is, that little sweet spot of information and communication is probably just as important. And yeah, looking back and seeing them sessions and seeing how he kind of conducted himself on the pitch, he had a real, and it's a skill. You know, people, it's something that again comes with experience. I think Gary and Rodolfo just had that skill about him to kind of simplicity and timing was brilliant. And you talked about kind of the CPD there. Again, for our listeners and for the viewers of this masterclass session, how important was it to continue to have that CPD with yourself? Because many may think, well, you're at Liverpool Football Club, you're at the best, you're there for a reason because you must be a very good coach, but just kind of feeding your needs with that continuous CPD. How important is that for yourself and to kind of keep yourself grounded and in knowing more to kind of better yourself and to better your players?
Yeah, it's massively important. I've done something every single year in terms of CPD. I've been on to not just coaching courses. I went to the Leaders Conference in New York a couple of years ago, and we were people from business and finance, and then a paratrooper was in there. There was a guy from NASA talking about the satellites, how they actually, the communication breakdown at NASA. So yeah, just keeping yourself kind of current with everything is really important. But they just educate, and we weren't great coaches at the time. We were still learning, and even from like a coach education point of view, you learn so many things. You get UA. So my first getting that, as you say, the bin bag full of kit. You think you've made it. Then I go to Derby, I think I've made it. Then I get a UEFA A license. Wow, I've made it. Well, no, you got your UEFA A license means you're licensed to coach now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're a great coach. It means that right, you've got the license now to go out there and learn more. So I just learned how to pass a course. That was all. I didn't understand how to coach, and then Pep and Rodolfo taught me how to coach. So no, it's massively important just to keep yourself educated. And this thing that's going around about fixed and growth mindsets, it's really important to have a growth mindset. Just continually evolve about the game. And we'll get into the Seattle Sounders stuff in a bit, but I've walked into that building thinking I knew a lot, and then got slapped in the face at Seattle Sounders by the level, the level of detail. Yeah, and we'll go into that a little bit later. Yeah, but it's honestly fascinating. We haven't got to America yet, have we?
No, we'll come on. We're still on Liverpool, but yeah, I think you bang on, Gary. I think my opinion on especially qualifications, it's not to say how good of a coach you are. I think it's kind of just to kind of show a level of the progression and the standards where you are, but that still comes with there's so much more to learn. And I think the higher you go with your qualifications, I think me personally, I think you get more frustrated because I think you get to a level and you think, God, I need to know a lot more than what I really should to be at this level. And I think obviously it's good that courses may, keep you, well, yeah, you're at A license or B license, but I think anything about a good course, you should be walking away obviously qualified, but still knowing that you've got to do an awful lot more to kind of get to the level of where you definitely want to be. But back to yourself, Gary, with Liverpool Football Club, and it's not happened once, it's happened twice with yourself now, and knowing just how much of the Liverpool supporter you are, and it's in your blood. How hard, was it, and has it been to not only kind of walk away once but twice to kind of take opportunities elsewhere to kind of further your kind of career within the game?
Yeah, well, it stays in your blood.
Yeah,
it doesn't leave you. Yeah, and it's a career. My heart will always be Liverpool. It's never going to go away. But my head was career based, and it's just interesting that when I look back to the time we had there now, I don't think there's anybody left there. Everyone's gone. Yeah. I think there's only probably Phil Roscoe that's still there from the early days. So the transition in these places is unbelievable. Even the Philadelphia Union a couple of years ago, there's another turnover of staff there. It just evolves the game. Different people come in. And, I think when you're at a club and you obviously respect the club so much and you love the place, and it's so difficult to walk away. But that opportunity at Derby gave me a chance to get on the ladder, which I wasn't going to get at Liverpool because I was inexperienced. Then get the opportunity to come back again was just, it was a teary moment, and I had the teary moment again when I left. But there was a big change. Rodolfo moved on, Frank moved on, Pep had gone back to Spain. Alex Inglethorpe come in, and we just because I was so ingrained in what we were doing, I couldn't see the change working for me with Liverpool. And me and Alex had a chat, and he just said, Gary, he said, I can't have somebody in a key position like this, just not agreeing with kind of the game model. I said, I agree, Alex. I said, it's not right for the players. So we agreed just to call it a day, I got an opportunity to come to America then. But no, it broke my heart that day. I was in Frank's old office, and there was pictures of Steven Gerrard with the Champions League and Jamie Carragher on the other wall, and I'm looking out at the 10 immaculate grass fields, and Alex had walked out to get the HR manager, and the tears just ran down my face. I'm thinking, you worked so hard to get here, and now it's gone. It was a really tough moment. Yeah. Sorry, I'm tearing you up here.
Yeah. I'm feeling it myself. You're taking me back to my own experience here, Gary. But I could completely sympathise with your feelings on that one. Just being part of that club and being part of it for so many years, and that's the effect it has on you. It's your childhood club. You dream of being part of that club from the day dot. Whether it's dreaming of being a football player, or if not, the next best thing is being a coach, in my opinion. And but it's definitely, and I really appreciate your honesty and just how sincere you are with what you're saying here, Gary, because this is it's honest, isn't it, what you're saying? But we'll move on from that, Gary, before we get the Kleenex out for the pair of us. But okay, so the US then. The US, great opportunity come along. Tell us then about considering a position to make the leap over the Atlantic and take a huge opportunity in the US, because I'm sure it's not just a career-based kind of consideration. I'm sure obviously there's so many factors, and I know that myself, I am sure, family and everything else all comes into play with that, Gary. So tell us a little bit about kind of the considerations and how it all come about.
Yeah, we had a house in Florida for a long time, so I've always loved America and always wanted to come over here. Probably came sooner rather than later, just with the changes at Liverpool, and then get the opportunity to come over here. It is life changing, and you're really not sure what you're walking into, because you keep hearing like the American player, oh no, they're just physical and they can run a lot. There's not really much talent there. They don't really understand the game, which is so far off. It's so far off the truth. But that was the mindset I came over with, and I also thought about the coaches in the US, thinking, I'm going to be ahead of them. They are yellers, as people say. I remember a parent saying to me in the first few weeks, "You don't yell at the boys." I said, "No, I teach them." Yeah, they actually wanted me to yell.
That's the difference between a good and a bad coach. A good one yells.
Yeah. That's how they feel. Yeah, if you're not yelling, you're not doing your job. But it was more about an education for me and teaching the players what I wanted. And even though the training sessions are where you teach, on the Saturdays where you see your results come out, and results as in what you taught in the week should come out on Saturday. So I shouldn't still be playing PlayStation with the players. I want to see what work I can put into them. So no, it was a great opportunity to go to Philadelphia. I went into a pretty new club of Philadelphia Union, MLS club. Only been around since 2010, so 10 years in existence. It's unbelievable to think about, but a great club. And the difference I had there was we were like building it. So we were building the game model and the curriculum and the philosophy. So I had an integral part in that because of the experience I had. But I wasn't really learning. I was teaching more so. So I had nobody above me. I'd always had like Kevin Thelwell at Derby, and then Neil Dewsnip and Sean London at Everton, and then Rodolfo and Pep. So I had a fantastic education. And then come here, I'm like, okay, so now it's going the other way now. I'm teaching. Yeah. I'm not learning. So that was a different experience. And so I had five really good years there at Philly Union. Yeah. And again, we produced 4 players in the first team now. So it was good.
Great. Let's talk about the player then, Gary. About the all kind of your surprises then. because a bit like myself, I went over there as a little bit of the blank canvas, to be honest, and I'm sure you did yourself. And although you hear things for yourself, and definitely the physicality, I always heard that, yeah, the players are a lot more physical, fitter, stronger, more endurance about them. But then, again, actually seeing it for myself, the credibility around, especially the technical part of their game, definitely surprised me. The girls' side completely surprised me, and that was something new to me completely. I've never obviously coached girls before. And was there any big surprises for you, Gary, when you went over there around the player or players and your teams from like the initial kind of first year that you were out there?
Yeah, so the first year we have a school at Philadelphia Union, so I was on site. So we had 76 boys in the school. We train 8 times a week, which was new to me. We did 6 at Liverpool. We did 8 at Philadelphia. So 4 mornings, 4 afternoons. It was a lot. The access to the players was unbelievable. You know, as I say, they're in our school anyway. But the level of conduct that you see from these boys, they're just desperate to learn. And at Liverpool, there was always something going on, you know, with the players. You know, I've spoken before about Trent and stuff like that, you know, being difficult to work with, and different players there was always something going on. Yeah. We had players from Manchester and Liverpool all fighting with each other overnight. But when you come here, everything's yes, coach, no problem, coach, I'll do that, coach. I did the movement patterns, and so I'm just bringing stuff over from Liverpool, and I do 3 times 3 minutes. The first few are all coach-led, A to B to C to D. And then the last part I say to the players, right, go on, show me something. Maybe, what do you mean? Well, no, you show me some creativity now. You show me your imagination. Well, we don't know what to do. So it was trying to build that chaos into the session where they could have a free run, because a lot of the sports here are coach-led, and that's what they were used to. So that was tricky to begin with, to allow them to have some freedom. Again, going back to that, you know, making sure every player is engaged in the game. You know, the what ifs. You know, what if the ball breaks down here? How do we counter press? Just from a teaching point of view, that was really important for me. So everything, and the difference between and the states. Obviously, there's 50 states and there's 50 different countries really in America. Mm-hmm. So to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, for me, you know, 2,500 miles again. Which I've done from Liverpool to Philly, 2,500, and then another 2,500 miles again. I've gone from yes coach in Philadelphia to Seattle as Y coach.
Okay.
Yeah, very cerebral city. You've got Microsoft, Boeing, Amazon, very educated parents, and the players are the same. And they would question everything. Why?
That's interesting, isn't it? Because I was going to ask you then, before you jumped onto the 2,500 going more west, I was going to bring it back to the east and compare the UK player to the US player. I've got a bit of an opinion on myself, and you kind of touched upon it there, where you were saying it was like to the yes coach, and sometimes as a coach you're looking for maybe some kind of something outside the box, thinking wise, or a reaction. If someone got smashed, you may want to see, like, I don't know, a little bit of the reaction. I think from where we've kind of come from in the academy, and some of the players, especially that come from the urban communities of Liverpool and Manchester, you know you're going to get something, some brilliance or a reaction. Tell us then about, like, I'm intrigued, like, to find out a little bit more on why that is possibly so between the two different kind of player from the East Coast to the West.
Yeah, let me finish off with Philadelphia, because just on your point really about the decision making within a game. So everything was yes coach, and they do everything for you. So I get my first experience in New York Red Bulls, and nobody gives me the heads up. So, and it also coincided with a US Academy Directors course going on at the same time. So we had the majority of the Academy Directors in the US come to our facility to watch my game. Okay. And the idea was that they come in to watch the team talk at the start. Yeah. And then I have to do a post-match interview with all these directors. So the team I had were flying, really talented. We go in against New York Red Bulls. I'm a possession-based coach. I like the team to have the ball. And we're all set up to play out from the back. And this storm hit us from New York Red Bulls. They literally just punch you right in the face. And within 20, 25 minutes, we were 3-0 down, because we just couldn't get out.
Yeah.
Their kind of their game model is really this high press, right in your face. They lock it. The whole model is based on locking you into areas where they're going to win the ball off you. They'll even give the ball back to you to press you again. That's how ruthless they are. But I didn't know. And the boys just kept on playing out from the back. And just to go back to your point, I'm saying the game didn't offer us this. The game offered us something else. You know, the old ads, you can go around, the three of them are over them. It was showing us we needed to go over them. We needed to get over the press because we couldn't get out.
Play over the block.
Yeah. But the boys didn't recognise that and just kept doing the same thing, and then it was just bang, bang, bang. We were just getting punched in the face. So yeah, it was interesting really from that point of view to see the game understanding from the players, because I told them to play off the back. That's what they were doing. I walk into Seattle, and I'll try and link this a little bit to coach education. So I deliver the C license. Okay, so Sunday morning, these coaches walk in to do their C license, and they know everything about soccer. Mm-hmm. By Friday of that week, they realised they knew very little about soccer. They were in a better place when they first walked in than when they left.
Brilliant.
And it goes back to your first, your initial comments. The more you learn, the less you know.
Yeah.
And you talk about these conscious competencies and unconscious things that you do automatically driving the car and stuff. I've got to a stage now where I kind of know what I don't know. Yeah, whereas I used to know what I know, now I know what I don't know. So I've walked into Seattle thinking, yeah, okay, I've had a decent career. I've been at some really good clubs, worked with some great people, and I can help out here at Seattle. And they just been the national champions. They just won a Generation Adidas Cup. Got 2 players just signed to the first team, and they've won the MLS Cup. So I'm walking into a great environment. And again, talking about getting punched in the face, the level of detail they go into here, it'll take such a long time. But what they did was, it was Chris Little, Mark Nichols. They looked at all the scenarios that go on around the world. So whether it's a high press or mid block or a low block, and each scenario on the field. And what they did was, they said it comes up, the same thing just keeps coming up. There's very little that changes within a game. So they've based the whole game model around solutions. So if you're faced with this is what you do. And that's how we coach. So just as an example, right back and winger attacking in a 2v2 situation. Yeah. We may get the right winger just to run and unbalance the back line and bring the 10 over. So we have a +1. Yeah. When we're playing out from the back, we have a +1. So if we're up against 1 striker or 2 strikers, we just add an extra player to it. It's all solution based. Yeah. So it's really interesting. And then they looked at data, which I've had to evolve as a coach over the years. But they looked at the likelihood of you scoring from a cross outside the box is about 0.4%. So they stopped crossing from outside the box. They crossed from within the box. And guess what happened? They started scoring more goals. Yeah, and then they looked at the arcs. We arced off the penalty area into 5 arcs. And then we looked at Man City and Liverpool. And from arc 1, which is around the 6-yard box, Liverpool and Man City scored nearly 50% of the goals from arc 1. Yeah. So cross from inside the box and get it to arc 1. And you're going to score more goals.
And so it sounds like a little bit like Moneyball here, doesn't it, with the data, bringing all the data in and putting figures in front of you to kind of work and to counteract against others, but also to shape your own kind of principles of play.
Yeah, but there's still a game model. Sorry, there's still a game model. There's still a way we want to play. Yeah. And I've listened to loads of podcasts, and it's funny, I spoke to Dan Locke, who's moved over to Charlotte now, and he said, you hear all these podcasts about philosophies, and nobody ever talks about scoring goals. They all want to play through the back and play through the units, but they never ever talk about scoring goals. It's the most important part of the game. So we've emphasised, a plan. Yeah, and it makes sense. And then how do you relate that to a player? We've broken that into like A, B, and C shots. So an A shot, you're in arc 1, you're on your strongest foot, goalkeeper to beat, shoot. Your B chance is you're on your strongest foot, you may have a defender, but you can see 50% of the goal, shoot. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and that's how you relate to your players.
So again, just a little bit to what you kind of, picked up at Liverpool from kind of seeing the game from the end point of view and working it back into your practice, to your players that it relates to, and so on. So no, it's brilliant to hear this, and it's a great insight to how kind of Seattle operates as well, and probably a lot different to many other clubs that I know of anyway, in particular, and I'm sure yourself, Gary. But so, going back to the C license, so for the people that don't know, Gary also is a US Soccer Federation tutor for the C license courses as well. How long have you been doing that now, Gary? A couple of years?
Yeah, a couple of years, yeah.
Yes. How have you found it? Obviously, with the comparison to the English FA stuff to doing it with the US Soccer Fed?
It was really important for me, even though I'd done my qualifications in England, it was important for me to start again here. So I did the B license, the US B license in Florida when I first came. And then I did the A license youth course in Houston. And I walked in pretty skeptical. I'm thinking, I haven't heard good things about this. You need to sell this to me. So I sat back and just waiting for them to kind of, let's just see what you've got here, And a guy called Didier Chamberon stood up and he spoke about topics. He said, there's two topics. You have the ball and you don't have the ball. There's your topics. And he said, we must start with the end in mind. And that was it. The light bulb went on my head. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I've heard this before. This guy is for real, And I tell you what, he was magnificent as a coach educator.
Brilliant.
Absolutely top. And again, I keep going back to this. So fortunate to be around these people, and I've kept in touch. We speak regularly now with Didier, and just from an education point of view, he's top, absolutely top. The worry I have with it is, and I'll kind of counteract this. Too many people pass the course, whereas when you pass your UEFA A license, it really meant something. It was a massive achievement, and you had to fight again. But here it's a little easier, and I contradict myself, because once you got your US A license, then go and learn. So even though it means a lot to you, I just don't want people to go away thinking they've cracked it because they've got an A license.
Yeah.
When you first get your driving license, I know it's a bit of a cliche. It doesn't mean you can go and drive Formula One. It means you've got a license to go and drive your car now. Now you're going to learn.
Yeah. I think in America with the pay to play model, and there's a lot of systems that support the higher qualified that you are, the more money you're potentially entitled to as well, which again doesn't help the system or the motives behind in the genuine of why you're getting your badges and so on. But I think that's kind of happening a little bit worldwide with some of the top associations now, Gary, where a lot of the courses now are more of a guidance and a support rather than like a bit of an assessment at the end. Which, oh my God, going back to the early days of late 90s, 2000s, trying to get your level 2 C license here in England was a nightmare. Yeah, I think only maybe 10% would come away with the qualification. But so with you actually doing the courses and probably coming across more coaches than ever when you are delivering these, and you touched upon a little bit earlier about one of the courses in particular where they walked away probably in a worse position than what they did when they walked in. Is the optimism around the US coaching and so on? And I do see a lot of fantastic coaches myself in the US, some really good, genuine, honest, and I think that's probably a big one for me. What I do like to see in coaches in the US in particular, someone that's really honest about their own kind of strengths, improvement areas, where they are in the game, and some of the things that they need to achieve to progress. I think that's probably the biggest one for me when I'm looking for coaches in particular, or picking. What's probably the big thing for yourself, Gary, when you are delivering these C license courses, coaching courses, in terms of kind of strengths and kind of optimism for the game in the US?
Yeah, just from the USDA as it was. The coach is fantastic. US coaches. Work with a guy now, Michael Morris, who takes our U19s at the Sounders. I mean, high level, really high level. He could grace any field anywhere in the world. This lad, he's fantastic. So the education's out there, and because it's such a global game now, and you can get access to anything, that's been a game changer. I mean, going back to Florida maybe 20 years ago, you couldn't even get a newspaper. You couldn't even find out what happened anywhere else in the world. But now, and especially with the Times, we can get the Premier League now on a Saturday morning and watch every game.
Yeah.
So the players know everything. So they're just modelling themselves on these things, and the coaches are doing the same. The coaches they just need to just keep soaking it up and learning, and not try to jump the levels too quickly. I hear people do the C license. They walk into a club and all of a sudden they want the under-17s job. It's a process. Just learn. You know, like going back to me driving 90 miles to Derby and stuff. It was just a learning process, and you have to put yourself out a little bit. And then going into Liverpool, I used to just sit on the grass verge with the pad and just watch all the coaches and the mannerisms, what they spoke about. And this was before this when I was coaching the 7-year-olds. I used to just sit and write, and just learn. How does he walk? You know, how does he conduct himself? The coach, what's he saying? I was fascinated by it, and I offer that to coaches over here, and then no one ever shows up. No one ever comes. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I don't know if that's because just the time. Like a lot of the coaches here, as you mentioned before, it's a business, and they've got like three teams, which is it's tough. They're not giving a great quality of service if you've got 3 teams. That's hard. That's hard to get your head around that. It's not giving a good quality of service. Yeah. But yeah, the future's great.
Yeah, that was a big one for me, Gary. When I come over, just seeing some coaches with 4. I think there was 1 or 2 that had 5, and like it's hard enough with 1 when you want to do the best job that you possibly can. But yeah, definitely so, Gary. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. No, the level of coaching here is very high, and there's a place for everyone here. You know, if you want to coach on the travel teams, or you want to coach the young ones and be a specialist in that, or you want to get into the pro environment, it takes time, and just keep getting told no. That's what happened to me. Many times I got told no, and I just kept hearing challenge, and I'll just keep fighting until you give me a chance. You know, you've got to keep going and keep educating yourself, and it goes back to your knowledge is really important, but the person you are and the environment you create for your players that's what I've learned more than anything over the years. It's not the X's and O's, as they say. It's the environment you create that makes you a good coach.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one because we talk about kind of cultures, kind of inheriting the culture that you kind of live in and the city that you live in, and the values, and you know what kind of values that the city kind of persists. I think that's always a kind of big factor in the people within the city, which you kind of then want to kind of integrate. Yeah, let's say your principles of play, your philosophy, and into what the people are all about. And I think definitely it's a little bit kind of chalk and cheese, isn't it? From your culture back in England to some of the cultures that you come across in the US, and you're trying to compromise with mixing the two, because if you can do that, then you can move mountains. I think, especially with the US. And how hard then is that being for yourself then, Gary, with, let's say, kind of culture in terms of implementing your beliefs and philosophy, let's say, on the game based on where you've come from and the positions that you've kind of been in the last kind of few years as kind of steady senior roles within the youth game in the US?
Yeah, the landscape's changed a little bit, even in terms of banter and stuff. Some of the things that we spoke about in Liverpool, it was just you think now you wouldn't get away with that now, but it was kind of the norm then. Yeah. I was speaking to Dave Rowe actually, and we were talking about the benches at Liverpool, and you remember the benches where the balls used to go and stuff, and all the coaches used to sit there, and then the players would have to come in through reception and then downstairs, and they just get destroyed. The players, because all the coaches, and they were dreading it, the boys. But that was creating a culture for us then. It was exciting for them. Even though they say they hated it, they all still speak about it. I used to hate going past the benches. And then you come over here, and culture was a PowerPoint slide for me over here at the start. It didn't mean anything. It was like we'll show you our culture. Come and watch this presentation. No, culture's a feeling. It's how you feel when you walk into a place. And I felt that at Liverpool when I first went in there. There was a warmness about the place. There was something special that grabbed you. And Philadelphia Union was the same. I felt the same when I walked in there. And I invited 2 coaches up from Delaware into Philly, and I took them unannounced, completely unannounced. All the boys shook hands with them, introduced themselves. We went into the school. One of the boys said, "Oh, do you mind if I show you guests around the school?" I'm like, "No, great." He goes off and does that. The head teacher spoke to them. Everybody in all the departments all spoke to these guys, and they just worked in a small club in Delaware. And the guy wrote to me after that visit, and he said, "That's the most special I've ever felt, walking into an environment like that, the way I was treated. And it wasn't set up. It was all natural. That was the culture we created." Yeah. So that's important to me. Creating that culture is really important. And you've got to live it. And it's the same here at Seattle. We haven't got a huge staff, but we've created something, pretty special. When you think of where we are and the area that we're in,
yeah,
we've got to maximise our opportunities here, because we're not so much landlocked. We've got Hawaii, which is the next place, over the ocean.
Is that where you're going to go next? Another 2,500 miles that way? You're going to end up in Hawaii, aren't you, Gary? I can see it.
Not a bad place to land, is it?
Not a chance. You'll be in New Zealand by in 10 years' time.
Be back at Liverpool, do the full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been good though. It's just been really fortunate to come here. It's a stunning place to live. It's an absolutely beautiful place to live, and just what we've created here. And you think about, you're in the northwest of England, you can just drive everywhere. All the games. Yeah. We do 3 games by bus here.
Yeah.
Everything else is a flight. We've only got Vancouver and Portland. That's it, close to us. Everything else is like LA or Utah, RSL, places like that. We have to fly everywhere.
It's fascinating. I talk about, I think the issues for me in the US game, and I've mentioned this to you in the past, is just the size of the country, and I think kind of the lack of certain things in place potentially. Whether it's kind of games programs, too sporadic. There's probably not enough quality kind of game programs just within the states itself. And then again, all depending on what state you're in. Again, that could be on a flight as well, if you were in Texas, for example. But I think just from where we come from in the northwest of England, where you've got potentially 40 professional clubs from Premier League to League League Two, and all the other academies and so on, and you put that across to the US coaches. Well, from one drive to one end of the city to the other end of the city in England, we actually fit in 40 professional clubs, and some of them clubs are Liverpool, Everton, Man United, Manchester City, and then all the other surrounding clubs, your Blackburn, your Boltons, and Burnleys, and so on. It is kind of mesmerising for them to kind of understand that, just how saturated and the level of quality in England. Do you think that's potentially something that holds back the game a little bit, Gary, in the US from kind of all angles, not just the youth, but also at the pro game, that there's maybe not more rivalry and competition within the states themselves?
But I've only worked at this level, so it's and it is extremely competitive. So you think about the battles we used to have in New York Red Bulls, and then DC United, and then the local clubs, PDA, and really, really tough. It felt like a European environment. You go to New Jersey. I mentioned before about getting punched in the face. That's what they're like. They're just so desperate to do well against you. So that was really, really competitive. And then here's been the same, really. Up and down the West Coast, LA Galaxy, LAFC. You're playing against some really top talents. It's more the issue for me. And when I first came over, when I first spoke to the players, they all wanted to go to college. So they're in a professional club, a Philadelphia Union, and they all wanted to go to college and go through the draft. That was because that's the American way. That's what they wanted. The introduction of, and basically, so it used to go to under 19s and then to the first team. And nobody's really kind of solved this problem across the world just yet. But the introduction of the USL over here has been a game changer for me. It's been brilliant. And it's something we've got over Europe, something Europe can't really offer. So the players now can get a USL contract and go and play against men every week who are trying to earn a living. It's like dropping down to like a League One or a League Two in England, where you're having to fight.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy trying to support his family there playing against you. So that, and fans in the stadium. So now they can actually feel it. You know, they can feel that, wow, I could actually be a professional soccer player here. And then obviously your MLS contract then is the next phase. But I can see there's a shift. There's a shift going on lately, where the college draft is pretty much gone now. The combine has been axed. There's no combine anymore, because I think the actual the stats of you go from an academy to college for 4 years and then coming back to the pro game. The percentages are really low now of you actually doing your 4 years in college and coming back.
Yeah, and again, all depending on the quality of the players. You kind of could have a really kind of successful academy journey going to college, and all depending on your many different factors: position, coach, your style of play, your player profile. As a freshman, you might not play many games yourself, and that, you know, like a year with hardly playing could be a critical factor of your kind of development growth stumbling.
It's a 3-month window as well. Their leagues are 3 months, you know, and if you miss a few games in that period, then you're done. You know, and you're looking at 12 months of games over 4 years. You're losing ground.
Yeah.
So the players are tending to stick now. I think we've got 12. I think it's about 12 professionals we've got here now that have come through the academy at Seattle. There's 4, as I said before. There's 4 players in the first team at Philadelphia Union. So it's changing. The landscape's changing. Players want to be professionals now.
That's good. And then, okay, so let's talk about Seattle Sounders, Gary. Obviously, bit of a fresh, obviously, job position for yourself, being in it now for, is it close to a year?
10 months. Yeah.
10 months, yeah. Okay, so just tell us a little bit about, obviously, your position there, Gary, and a little bit about the club itself.
The position, I came in as the under-17s coach. Mark Nichols brought me in. He was the academy director here. In fact, he was director of player development. That was his title. He brought me in, and again, just a fantastic guy he's a lifelong learner. Mark, you know, he's educated himself really well, been across America and done fantastic, and obviously produced something really special here with Seattle. Not only producing players, but actually winning along the way has been great. Just to give that kind of culture, you know, like we don't lie down. You know, it's been good. We keep going in games regardless of the result. You know, that type of mentality where. And then Mark got offered to go to Charlotte as the technical director at Charlotte's new MLS franchise. So I'd only spent about 3 or 4 months with him, and off he went. And then his position came up. So I interviewed with Garth Lagerwey, our sporting director. And then what they did was they broke Mark's job into 2. So I got the academy director's position, and the guy from US Soccer, Henry Brawner, came in as director of player development. So the 2 of us pretty much, control the thing. But with the COVID-19 thing, I was only in position about 3 weeks, and then this kicked in. So it's been an interesting start to my career as an academy director. Just in terms of Seattle itself, it's very European on a match day. So if you remember, when Cardiff used to hold the cup finals and the stadiums in the city, and everyone's standing around the bars and all that, you know, and the atmosphere is amazing. That's what it's like here. The stadium's right in the city. It's just green everywhere, you know, our colours. And
so very passionate, got a passionate fan base with Seattle.
Unbelievable. 50,000, 40 to 50,000 every game.
Wow.
We had 70,000 for the MLS Cup final, which was just amazing feeling. And what they do is, on a match day, they all meet in a place called Pioneer Square about 90 minutes before kickoff, and they all march to the stadium and they sing along. And it just reminds me of being back in Europe, you know, that feeling. You know, you don't really get much over here. There's not many clubs can actually, you know, Atlanta are doing things really well. But we're in the top 20 of the biggest supporter clubs in the world. You know, Atlanta are in the top 10. So again, the US is changing.
I think that's a big one, isn't it, Gary? Your fan base. Obviously, I know a club can't control what type of fan base you're going to have. They can do certain things, but I think more than anything, you want it to be authentic, don't you? You want it to be like a genuine, authentic, passionate fan base, and it sounds like Seattle has got that.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Honestly, on a match day, once this gets going again, as I say, 40 to 50,000 every game. it's special, really special place to be.
It's interesting as well, Gary, because Seattle's, am I right in saying it's only 13 years old as a founded club itself? Is that right?
They were formed in 1974, and would you believe, like, Harry Redknapp was here at one point, and there's been yeah, it's amazing. There's been a lot of people, like, over the years. They were like an indoor soccer team and stuff, and then obviously when the MLS kicked in, it changed. Then they were one of the founding members. But yeah, they've been around since 1974. It's in some capacity as Seattle Sounders.
Right. So, well, current MLS Cup champions, and so obviously with the first team standards being really, really high, Gary, obviously champions and so on, the expectations and standards is obviously with the academy as such, I'm sure is got to be high as well, because again, your ultimate aim, again, tell me if I'm wrong, is to produce players good enough for the first team. So how, again, with the interaction then with the first team and the input of the first team staff with the academy, how much of that is kind of with yourselves in terms of communications, and how does it work?
Yeah, just this period has been great. This period of lockdown has been great, because we've been on Zoom calls every week with the first team staff, and we're just looking at the game model and what they want. So it's again, I spoke about Pep and I spoke about Didier, and the same with Brian Schmetzer, our manager. What do you want us to produce? And then it's important, and that we're all on the same page. So instead of looking at them, we look at him. So and it goes back to, I mean, even the education I got with Michael Beale and Alex Inglethorpe. Even though, looking back now, I could see what they were trying to do. They weren't trying to develop teams. They were trying to develop players, and I've got so much admiration for that. The way they've ingrained that in the club now. So that's our business is player development. That's it. And it's making sure that we maximise every single opportunity. So when you look at like individual development plans, like, what is that? So when that first came out, I was looking at, can I improve your weak foot? That was your individual development plan. Now it could be education, nutrition, it could be the psychological side, it could be the technical, it could be even like defensive, anything like that. What do we need to maximise this player's opportunity to get them into the first team?
Socials kicked into that as well, isn't it? Psychology plays a huge part on that as well, in terms of, again, back in the day, you would just look at it from a with the football filter kind of lens on, and just look at it for what it was in terms of just the football specifics. I think, like you just touched upon, Gary, so much more comes into play now, especially around the player reviews and the individual learning plans.
Yeah, plus, I don't want to say that we're totally data-based. The coach's eye is still really important, but you've got to evolve, and you've got to, and I mentioned before about like key areas to score goals from. We've actually given the players some key performance indicators. So in their position, we've looked at all the best players in their position across the world. We've aggregated that into like a score, and then all we do then is look at the data from the game and see how far off you are in all the key areas, whether it's attacking, defending, transitions, your passing, retention, your duel, how many duels did you win? That type of stuff. Did you your attacking duels, your defensive duels, your aerial duels? And we can start to look then, okay, so he's down on this, we need to help him with this. So it's just KPIs, which again goes back to business, but it still translates across the soccer.
So just to throw it at you then, Gary, so I'm sure a lot of it is connected with players in that, let's say the academy player that you're working with obviously the player who's in the first team as well, not just kind of the best players in the world, but looking at the first team player and so on, and trying to match or potentially eclipse their kind of figures if possible.
Yeah, it's important to be a sounder. It's got to be a good fit for us as well. Yeah. But if we can give Brian a player that's got the attributes that he needs, then it's just kind of, okay, we've done our bit now. Off they go to you. And that's all we can do. We've got to produce players that are acceptable and can actually survive in this field. It's important, and sometimes they don't for a while. They might have to come back to us for a little bit, where he says, well, okay, they're not quite right in this area. Let's just do a little bit more work in the academy with them. So that relationship's vital, to get that right. Yeah, and as I say, if we just keep making sure that we can give the tools for success to each player, and obviously what he needs. If we're producing slow right wingers, he's going to be saying, well, what are you doing?
Questioning the player profiles and the academy and recruitment.
Yeah, and it's the same with any club, isn't it? We've spoken a lot about Liverpool, and the players that they're trying to produce now have to fit Jurgen's model. They've got to work both sides of the ball. That's what he wants. If you're not willing to do that, and I spoke to Ernst Tanner of Philadelphia Union, he came in from Red Bull Salzburg, and he said to the boys on his first day, defending is a choice, and if you don't want to make that decision to defend, you will not be here much longer.
Yeah.
And that's the same here. If you're not prepared to work hard now as a Sounders player, then you're not going to be a good fit for us. So that's the first that's the first one. That's the first block. That you want to work on and off the ball for us.
Yeah.
Simple, and then you start looking at the technical attributes and then the physicality. What physical profile do they need for that? And then we just bring in an expert and say, right, okay, this boy needs this.
Yeah.
His movement efficiency isn't right. Let's help him.
Yeah.
It's the same world over. Nothing's different.
Yeah. So then, Gary, with you being in kind of Seattle, and it sounds like a real passionate football, soccer city, and obviously being from a passionate football city yourself and so on, how, I'm sure, obviously, for the long haul project of the Academy of Seattle Sounders, that surely that's got to be massive for the younger generation or the next generation, for potential players to come through your system. Local talent as well, which we know is always a nice thing to kind of bring through your system. If you can bring in like a real local lad that can again inspire the next generation. How is that then for local talent in Seattle? And is that something that's big on the Academy's agenda?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's what it's like in most of these cities. If you get a homegrown talent into your first team, if they work hard, they're kind of forgiven by the fans, aren't they? Because they're desperate for them to do well. And it's the same here. We've got Jordan Morris in the first team here, who's flying. He lives literally over the water from me here in Mercer Island. He's US national team player, and the fans just love him. And that's what we're trying to do here, is just produce some homegrown talent. It's obviously a lot cheaper, financially better, and then if there's a potential return on investment, that's what we're looking for. If they move on, there may be a sale involved in that for us as well. So it's from a business decision, it's important, and also from a homegrown talent and for the fan base, it's also important to get one of our boys on the field for the first team. It's the same everywhere, and then the pride. I mean, that's our business objective, isn't it, as an academy?
Yeah.
Although we've been successful in one thing, it's important that we produce players. Otherwise, what we do.
Definitely, mate. And I think obviously everyone, whether it's a professional academy or, well, you would say a DA academy, the DA doesn't exist no more, but I think obviously every academy's mindset should be roughly the same. Player pathways, player journeys, passing the players on to the next best thing, whether it's at your club or whether it's somewhere else, and just having that sincere and honesty about that goes back to the player. But one last thing I'm going to throw at you, Gary, is, so there's a big event in the US in 2026, the World Cup. So any players potentially that you've got in mind, and you don't have to name names, I wouldn't put any kind of pressure on yourself or that player in particular, but surely that's got to be a goal. I've talked about it in presentations with Seven Elite Academy that, why not? Some of the things that we've seen in England and some of the players that we've seen at 6 or 7 to go on to do the ultimate within the game so far. Why is it not an achievement to do something like that, to produce and provide the US with high talented players for that World Cup?
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to dodge this question. The priority for all of us, the priority, any club I've ever been at, it's always been the priority is to get them into our first team. That's our priority. And if they get the the little extras of international soccer, then great. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I'm English or American. It doesn't matter for me. My job's to produce Seattle Sounders players. And if we do that right, and then the country realise they've got a top talent, then absolutely fantastic for us. When the U17s went to the World Cup last year, we had 3 players in that from Seattle Sounders. So from when you look at the squad, to have 3 players on that roster was great for us. And they signed professional deals straight after that. So yeah, it is really important for the country, but it's really important for us to produce Seattle Sounders players, and it was at Liverpool. And we never looked at Trent Alexander-Arnold as a future England player. We looked at him as a future Liverpool and Champions League player. That was our priority. So yeah, so I'm not trying to dodge the question, but it's not something I can control.
Yeah, no, listen, I was just throwing the grenade in there for you, Gary, on that one. But knowing that you had been a little bit around the US youth boys teams and so on, but I think it's again, sometimes I don't realise that the US truly understands some of the talent that you've got, and I think some of the hurdles that are in the way is a little bit of the college system, because mentality is college, where I think some of these players are absolutely good enough to be playing in Europe. Again, transfer system and FIFA regulations and passports don't kind of help with that situation. But again, some of the players that you come across in the US, you'd be thinking they could hold their own and compete in Europe, no doubt.
Yeah, but that's changing as well. It's changing, as in they can still get the college offer, and that's a duty of care from us. If we can produce them, and clubs talk about this all the time, producing good people.
Yeah.
It's really important to us that we teach them the right ways and have the right mannerisms and the conduct, and obviously education is vital, because the percentages of being a pro player are limited. So it's just something we've got over Europe here, where there's a couple of pathways for them. If they don't quite make it at Seattle Sounders, they're going off to Division 1 colleges, with scholarships. So again, from a kind of moral point of view, we're doing a great job from that point of view as well. I was always against it when I first came. I thought, no, you don't want to go to college, but no, you actually do. It's good for you to go to college, if you're not quite at the level here. And there's a place for everyone. Yeah. Whereas if you fell away at 16, 17 in England, like, where are you going? It's so difficult for them. They've got so many good pathways here.
Yeah, and you've made a point there with the England as well. How many players come out the system in England, 16, 17, and want to continue to chase the game in England. And when I come over here, and I was like seeing some of the college games and the attendances and what the whole college kind of, or the students' athlete life is like, I was like, God, I'd be saying to players, go and try it in the States, go and give that an opportunity, because again, education and playing career potentially, it's massive. But again, it's trying to tell someone who's trying to chase a contract in England, it's a hard thing to do. But it's amazing to see how many players that did go and chase the game over here, Gary, in England, and then 3 or 4 years later have gone, I wish I would have went over to the States and give it a crack over there. Yeah.
No, I'd say it's, the USL has been great. The MLS is obviously going from strength to strength. The retiring players used to come over here. It's not like that anymore. The younger players are coming. Salaries are getting bigger. The TV revenue's coming in, and it's a different game altogether now. You look at Atlanta now, into Miami coming in, and obviously Seattle Sounders has been a success. We've won the MLS Cup twice in the last 4 years, which is unbelievable achievement for this club. And that brings a pressure from us. Going back to that player development, and it goes back to at Liverpool, we had to produce Champions League players. Yeah. It wasn't like we were producing Premier League players. And then you come here to Seattle, and we've got to produce championship winning players. They've got to walk into an environment where the club wins.
Because that's where the club is, isn't it? That's the club standards.
Yeah, it's different. At Philly, we talked about the academy being the engine that powers the first team.
Yeah.
So we were just getting players, but we only get like 15,000 fans in and not winning anything. Then you come here and it's a different pressure, because it's now 50,000 fans and we win. We've got to produce players for that, so that the pressure accelerates that for all of us.
Brilliant. And Gary, listen, I think we'll kind of wrap it up there, mate. It's listen, I think for all our viewers and for all the listeners, and And I think this has been a really good masterclass session because we've had obviously a lot of discussion over, you know, stuff over in England, stuff going on in the US. So I think it's been a really kind of healthy kind of football masterclass session on talking about both sides of the Atlantic. So Gary, I really thank you for your time, mate. It's a pleasure to catch up with you again. Look forward to seeing you in person once this kind of travel ban's over, and potentially we can kind of catch you up on the stateside and see some of the work that you're doing in hand. But thanks a lot, Gary, and thanks to all the listeners and all the watchers taking the time out to watch the 7 Elite Academy online masterclass sessions. Thank you.